I felt like I was buried under an avalanche of tasks and decisions and all kinds of different things that I felt like I was the worst person to be asked to handle, like any of them. I just could not understand how all of our systems seem to have been set up to expect the grieving widow to be the person to sort through.
This is the Buried in Work podcast, where we share tips and interview experts to help you simplify estate planning and end-of-life tasks.
Jasmine Hathaway knows firsthand how overwhelming life becomes after losing a loved one. It is a challenge that so many people know, but unlike so many people, Jasmine actually made it her passion, her work, her career. And when her husband, Alan, died of cancer in 2015, fuck cancer, she was thrown into a world of paperwork, legal logistics, and endless phone calls, all while going through what we all go through is grieving and raising their family. And it was complicated. She was a newly widowed single mom, and she had to figure things out. Now, that experience led her to create Compass Coordinators. It's a company dedicated to helping families navigate the administrative side of loss. She's also a co-founder, because she apparently has 29 hours in the day, of PALS, which is Professional Alliance of Life Services. That is a community of after-loss professionals who provide guidance during one of life's most difficult transitions. With that, unbelievable. I'm glad you're here, Jasmine.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop in real conversation. There's so many different podcasts out there that they want to touch high level. Let's get real nitty gritty. All right. Losing someone's already one of the hardest things we can go through. What most people don't expect is that the sheer volume of administrative tasks can just bury you in work, which is why we're here. Tell us a little bit about your story. What did you experience? Were you buried? Did you figure it out? Were you like that 1 in a million type person that went, you know what? I got this.
Oh, definitely not the latter. I mean, it was a complete surprise to me, honestly, just the amount of work that I felt like I was buried under an avalanche of tasks and decisions and all kinds of different things that I felt like I was the worst person to be asked to handle, like any of them. I just could not understand how all of our systems seem to have been set up to expect the grieving widow to be the person to sort through, super detail-oriented, confusing forms and, 4 different conflicting instructions for where to go to get the answers to certain things. And, you name it. I could not believe what I was learning as I went. And I don't know if this is something that we'll talk about later, but I was in the situation where my husband Alan had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And that's a situation where we know the end is coming. Like it is part of the diagnosis. Like it's just there's extending life, there's no surviving terminal cancer. The fact that we never had any kind of frank conversation about the importance of estate planning and getting these, different pieces in order before he's gone. And I just felt like we were enabled in ignoring this fact of life.
Let me clarify that.
Yeah.
So you're saying that he was diagnosed even up to the point to when Alan passed away, you didn't have any of those conversations?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we were given forms like advanced directives at various hospitals that we went to and things like that. Very well-meaning people who didn't want to overstep, I'm guessing, would give us information that would then go to the bedside table to die. There was no additional information about what this is for, how to do it, who can help you, any of that stuff. And so even though we were dealing with that terminal diagnosis, Alan especially and his family really refused to accept that reality that the end was coming. And so therefore, I was left completely unprepared after he was gone.
There is a card that I saw a long time ago, like a greeting card, Hallmark card, where it said, "You're doing a great job raising your kids and husband." It almost feels like this is the situation for you where everything fell on you to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's a function of the legal system too, right? So because we were married, it was me. It sounds so silly now because I now know that that is how things work, that you have to have an heir, and
Hmm.
even though he didn't have a will, it was me. I was his spouse. And so of course it's going to be me who has to like close down all of his accounts. But, I'm looking around and I'm like I'm barely functioning, guys. Like I have a 1-year-old. I can't be the only person who has to make these phone calls. Like,
Hmm.
I'm trying to work full time. Like, I mean, buried is one kind of metaphor for it. I felt like it was drowning. I felt
Yeah.
like I could not get a breath.
I wonder if drowninginwork.com is available. We can redirect it back to the website.
Check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a specific moment that you realized just how much actually had to be handled where you almost lost it?
I mean, so the way that it went for me, I kind of had like a failure to launch with the work in some ways because here I am, newly widowed. I'm trying to figure out being a single mom and like what that even means for me. And I get a phone call from the funeral home that says, "Hey, we got Alan's death certificate back, but it's really weird. Your last name is wrong on it." And I had never changed my last name when we got married. That was, a decision that we had made together. And so when his last name got appended to my first name, there was never any documentation that that was me. That person did not exist, and so I was like, okay, well, somebody made a mistake. No big deal. Like we can recover from this. Whose responsibility is it to fix it? And
Hmm.
it was like a deer in headlights. Like, it was like, "Oh, well, it's not me. I can't possibly be I'm not the person who can fix that for you." I was like, "Well, what do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? What is the deal? Surely someone can tell me, organization, which department of the government, well, like what needs to happen?" And it was like, "Well, maybe try the county." And the county was like, "Well, it's not us. Maybe try the state." And so I'm calling Nashville, Tennessee and saying like, "Hello?" Like any anyone, like, and it felt like they were, making up requirements that put more of a burden on me. Like, they were like, "Well, you have to send us like your birth certificate or like a notarized, copy of such and such form." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. I am still the person I have always been. You need to fix the mistake and then we can move on with our lives. I'm not getting any kind of notarized or medallion stamped anything. No."
Oh, the medallion, that's the worst. It's for people that don't know, the medallion is like one level of complexity above a notary.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't want to have to go through that process. Uh,
Yeah.
they ended up getting things sorted out. You became the person that you've always been, metamorphosized into yourself, which is an
Yeah.
interesting concept. You start dealing with your unpaid bills, your unclaimed assets, all the legal issues, everything else. That then led you to this epiphany, it seems like, of, hey, I went through this, I can help other people. Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I have what I call like a justice streak that runs in me. Like it's just like real deep in the core. And
Mhm.
if you trigger that justice streak, it is really like I get almost like obsessive about stuff. And so this was one of the things that really felt like it was unjust to me, that there were so many people that would just shrug and throw up their hands and say, "Well, I wish it would have been better, but that's just the way things are." And I would go, "No, it does not have to be that way. This is not okay. We have to do better. We have to figure out a better way to come alongside people who've lost a loved one
Mhm.
and help them manage this really overwhelming and awful time in their lives." And not try to put them in like a particular box. This is for legal stuff and this is for financial stuff. And if you don't fit into the box for like, okay, the people who can help you with the grief issues, what happens to the other
Hmm.
the other things that fall to people? Who helps bring in the right people for those issues too?
Is it a proactive response or is it a reactive response? Do you want people to take action? I mean, ideally, it should be proactive, but realistically, what does it become?
Yeah, ideally, it should be proactive. I'm a big advocate of financial organization and planning on the
Hmm.
front end, but people just need to have some kind of trigger to act, right? And so, what I typically do is come alongside a family who has lost a loved one
Hmm.
approximately 2 weeks to a month ago. And they are just now realizing there's more than we can handle. So it is when they the switch gets flipped and they say, okay, this is too much. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Then they call me and I help sort of bring order to some of the chaos and help them make sense of what they need to do, break it down in like as small of a piece as I possibly can. So they can understand and move through the different tasks on their plate in a way that doesn't overwhelm them and gives them a sense of accomplishment and ownership.
Is it possible for you to do this remotely, or is it only with families and individuals that live near you? And you're in Charlotte, right?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I work with people all over the country.
How does that work? I mean, if you need to go in and go through boxes, it's like, show me your box over there on your cell phone.
Well, actually, most of my clients, especially because I work with a lot of widows,
Hmm.
they're not coming to me with a box of stuff necessarily. They're saying, "Hey, I have all of this stuff, but it's too confusing. It's too overwhelming. I know
Hmm.
I need to talk to." Like the VA, or I know I need to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't know like what order to do it in. I don't know like what kinds of pieces of paper I need to bring with me for these things. So they're coming to me and they're needing more of like a coaching kind of
Hmm.
experience. So I'm helping them. They're the ones actually doing the work
Okay.
to organize the paperwork and get it all together so we can move through the tasks.
So it's getting them organized, taking the tasks off their plates, then creating that manageable plan to help them say, hey, I can do this on my own. And then they come back to you when they have questions and problems.
Yeah, so it's actually more like we set up regular check-ins and
Hmm.
that serves as almost like an accountability checkpoint as well. And most of my clients don't have someone else in their lives who cares to ask the minutia of how their DMV visit went
Oh,
and
that's so sad.
things like things like that. So I'm talking to them and asking them questions like, "Hey, did you ever get this question answered by that attorney or whatever happened with this little thing that may have fallen through the cracks for them that they didn't think about."
So are you saying that my mom is lucky that I literally went to the DMV with her the other week?
Yeah, yeah.
All
That's a
right.
huge service. I've done that with my clients too. Yep.
I need to like clip this and send it to her. So next time she says that I did something wrong, not that that happens often, I can be
Adam
like,
did
but
a
mom,
great thing by going to the
yes,
DMV.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it. All right. So what are the other kinds of tasks that you help families with? Is there anything that stood out as like, you know what, this is the thing that is every single person or 90% of the people, they always come up against this specific item?
It's so tough because every individual is unique, and so every estate is unique.
Mhm.
And I don't often see the same client twice. There's always some kind of weird something that comes up,
Okay.
right? Most of my clients have a hard time with insurance at some point along the line.
Mhm.
They often have some difficulty with financials, and whether
Mhm.
that be, like maybe they shut down the bank account too soon and then they weren't able to receive like a refund from one of the other accounts that they had to close. It's usually some combination of those two things are the most common sort of roadblocks that my clients run up against.
And I think that's fair from our experience as well. Insurance, bank accounts, transitions. It's just the things that in oftentimes the traditional family values household where division of labor is split, like you just don't have
Yeah.
experience for it. And
Yeah.
it's not to then is again not to say that somebody can't do it, just that they haven't done it before, and
That's
having
right.
somebody coach through and makes that a little bit easier.
That's why I have such a heart to help widows too. It's
Hmm.
because there can be sort of like a shame involved in not knowing all of the different aspects of your household and how it was run. And so
Hmm.
a lot of my clients have a hard time admitting that they don't know how to set up auto pay in their bank account or change account information so it has the correct names on it or you name it.
Yeah, and like the little things. We had one person that we helped, and this is something that goes on with a lot of individuals. If all the financial credit cards are in a primary individual's names, when that individual passes, that second person loses all of their access to credit, and suddenly they're running to the ATM all the time because they don't have any credit cards that work anymore. It's
Yeah.
it's those little
Yeah.
tiny things that are kind of crazy.
It is, yeah, and it makes things so difficult, and
Hmm.
it just again, I just believe that it doesn't have to be that way. Like,
No.
we can do a better job of educating and supporting people through these huge transitions in life.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to pivot a little bit. And this is one of the things I think is most interesting and remarkable about you and your background. You started off in a place that was challenging and turned it into something that helped other people. So you made lemonade out of the lemons, right? Made it into a career. That's what Compass Coordinators is. But you didn't stop there. When we first met, it was through an individual that had actually gone through one of your classes through a completely different organization that you helped co-found, and that's called PALS. Talk a little bit about PALS and how you're not only doing what Compass Coordinators is doing, but you're empowering other people to provide similar services as well. And isn't that
Yeah.
kind of contradictory? Like you're creating competition for yourself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it totally is. But, when we started Professionals of After Loss Services, it was me and 3 other women who were in this same space providing after loss services, but we didn't call it that at the time. And when we started getting together and asking each other questions like, "Hey, you've been doing this a little bit longer than I have. How have you how have you done it? Tell me some of your tips and tricks or whatever." We just really believed that supporting each other and helping each other through this navigating in this line of work was the way to go. And so
Mhm.
the more people that came to us and asked us like, how did you do it? What do I need to do if I want to set up a business like yours in my state? We believed very strongly, and we still have it in our core values today, in community over competition. So that is just one of the binding principles in everything that we do is lifting each other up and not trying to see things from this lens of well, you're my competition and I'm not going to tell you anything and, things like that. There's enough work. There are
Mhm.
enough families that need help that don't even know we're around that we can work together and make a bigger impact than I could do myself with just my one company.
All right. So I think that is probably one of the most poignant things you've said so far. There's a lot of work to be done. I mean, every single day, 10 to 12,000 people turn 65 in the country. This is a big issue that we need to tackle together. And your approach of leading with generosity is phenomenal. So
Thank you.
you all created PALS. It's trying to, and I think that I say trying in a nice way, you're trying to create that industry standard for after loss professionals. If people want to find these PALS people that have been trained, is it a badge on their website? Is it them coming to Buried in Work eventually to find them here? Is it on your website? What should people be looking for to find them? And the second part question is, what do you need to ask to make sure that it's a good fit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the way that you find after loss professionals who have been trained and commit
Mhm.
to our code of ethics and best practices is there's a badge that should be on their website, and we also have a directory of those people, and they hopefully will be on Buried in Work as
Yeah.
well. So
Hopefully
there should
so.
be
Yeah.
multiple ways to find these people, but yeah, so we just really want to elevate as many great after loss professionals as we possibly can. And so the way that you can find the best person who's going to align with what you need is asking them to tell you about their approach and how they work with you, what to expect, and they should be able to detail out kind of their step-by-step process and paint that picture for how it's going to be when you work with them, what you can expect at the end of your engagement. And hopefully that will be, a sense of calm and a sense of achievement and, that things have been handled in the right way with the estate administration that you're working on.
And if they have that badge and they can't answer that question clearly, you need to go to the PALS website, find Jasmine, email her directly, and she'll
That's right.
personally reach out to fix it for you, right?
100%.
Put you
Absolutely.
on put you on the spot. All right. So we're helping people connect with the PALS trained individuals. What about for people that want to get into this field or professionals that are already supporting grieving families but want to get better at what they do?
Yeah, so we have a course that combines the knowledge of myself and my three other co-founders. Again, required putting down some barriers, laying down swords and saying, like, this is actually how I do my work. These are all the tools that I use. This is, exactly how I go through a client engagement. And then we combined the best pieces of all of those into the After Loss professional training program. We have that available as a self-study version, so you can
Mhm.
take that at your own pace. And then we also do a live cohort that has opportunities every Friday for 6 weeks to get together with a PALS co-founder and then your cohort members to learn from each other, ask questions, get coaching, and kind of let the module sink in so you really get the most out of your time and you actually finish the course in a pretty tight window there. So it's just the best. We've gotten such amazing feedback about it. I'm really proud of what we've done there.
All right. So let me see if I can boil this down into 3 takeaways.
Okay.
The first one is that after loss logistics are overwhelming, but you don't have to do it alone, right?
Yes.
Compass coordinators can help you do that if you want. Find the website. Second thing, handling these tasks sooner than later is better. It prevents unnecessary stress, financial losses, legal headaches, arguments with your family, trips to the DMV. So start early because if you don't, it just creates a headache for people down the road. And thirdly, if you're looking for help or want to get into the industry itself, PALS is a great resource for people.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job summing it up. Couldn't have done
All
it
right.
better myself.
All right. I like it. I'm hired. I have one more really difficult question for you.
Yes, sir.
What is something about you that most people don't know?
So we're digging into the icebreaker kind of awkward
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah. Let's
starters
make it
here.
weird.
All right. So one thing about me that most people don't know is I rode horses in the Andes Mountains when I was in college. It's kind of like a defining moment for me. So I was studying abroad and we went horseback riding in Argentina and it was amazing. And
All right.
I gotta say, I don't talk about that very much, but it was pretty cool.
And you just got a big smile on your face. It sounds like that is a fantastic memory that you go back to often privately. So thanks for sharing that
Yeah.
with us. All right, everybody. If you want to connect with Jasmine, compasscoordinators.com is where you can go. If you want to connect with PALS, that is afterlosspros.com. Jasmine, it's so great to have you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Buried in Work podcast. Remember, you can save 10% on our estate preparation package and games with code podcast10 at buriedinwork.com.